My name is Tommy. Tommy Sutton, you could call me. I've been living in this quiet town for 2 years. Won't name the town because I don't want to expose anything. And before I moved into this town, I was living in the city, and I had hard times. My mom and dad decided to send me to my uncle to the town where he lives in. And ever since I lived in that town, I was so happy. I liked the peace and quiet. I met a lot of friends. People in the town knew who I was. So for 2 years, I just stayed in this town and had no worries in the world. I had a good job in the hardware store, and you know, enjoying life. And party. Just like any people that live in a small town. You party with your friends, you drink, just talk. A lot of bullshit. And pretty much that was my life in that small, quiet town. Changed my life, definitely different from city life. So one day I work overtime, stay late, and it was the first time I ever did overtime in the hardware store because my boss, he's on vacation for the weekend, so he told me if you want to stay overtime for this one day, and the store's gonna be closed Saturday and Sunday, just for that weekend. And the hardware store I work at has a pretty much big parking lot, you know, so people can park their car. But usually, being a small town, not a lot of people park their car in a parking lot. It's kind of weird. They're parking in the house or in front of the store. Your way is accessible, of course. So, when I was working at the hardware store, first my shift, and call it a day, lock the store, get to walk into my car, walking, and it was very dark, quiet, a lot of, the hardware store, and there's a few other stores. It's like a mini mall type of thing, but the other stores were closed pretty early, like 5 o'clock, while the hardware store I work at closed pretty much at 9, you know, just in case people want some extra things, and I had to do some paperwork also. But like I say, I was working overtime, so it was past 9, and I pretty much left at 2 o'clock early morning. Like I said, close up, walking into my car. But what was something strange about that day? Something very, very strange. And it was really weird. I saw a guy there. It was my car parked and another car that was parked. One car. I didn't make a big deal. But like I said, when I was walking to my car, I saw a guy there just standing there staring at me like I caught him doing something. You know, Tall guy, had a long coat, you know, and of course he was wearing black, you know. And as used to being from the city, people that wear black all the time, especially late night, early morning. People in the streets that I know of say, hey, is either they are selling drugs or they doing something, carrying guns, doing something slick. But again, I wasn't in the city no more. I was in a town. So the guy just stares and stares at me. I didn't really have a good look at him. But I could just tell it was just something creepy about the guy. But I know one thing, like being living in the city, I had that city mentality with me in the town. If anybody touches me, I will defend myself. And to me, it looked like the guy was by himself. So it's not like he had two or three people with him. If he did, I better run to my car fast and drive off. Because I'm no Bruce Lee. You know what I'm saying? But when I was looking at him, making sure he ain't making a move at me or nothing, make sure he's not running at me or nothing, I looked straight at him. He was looking straight at me. As I walked to my car, I noticed something by the window of his car. A second person. But the person did not turn their head or did not get out the car. So I was just like, okay, is this person maybe could come out could attack me. Who knows? Like my fear just thought maybe he had somebody with him after all. But anyway, I was able to open my door, close my door, and he was still standing there in the same spot, same pose, like he haven't moved yet. Not even a flicker, matter of fact. But I still look at that second person behind that by his car, back of his car. Like I said, that person didn't move. It looked like the person had long hair, so I was assuming it was a female. But I'm like, okay, start your car and drive off. So I drove off, and still looking at the guy, still standing in the same pose, haven't even moved, even when I moved my car, and when I drove off. So I drove off, didn't want to think about it again. I said, hey, I'm only doing this overtime only one time, and it was the first time me leaving late at the job. So when I got home, took a shower, brushed my teeth, sleep. And then the next day got started, start a new day. And like I said, the hardware store was closed for the weekend since my boss was on vacation. And I got a break. So I went hang out with my friends, to the bar, drinking. And I'm hearing, they start talking. It was quiet. It was something different. And they were telling me, did you hear what happened? Somebody got killed. I'm like, what do you mean somebody got killed? Some woman got killed. I'm like, a woman got killed? And I was wondering, was this female from the town? They said no, it was an outsider. So I'm like, in my mind, like, a woman got killed. And I was thinking about that day of the woman, of a figure that looked like a female in the back of that white car. And that guy. So I said to myself, could that female have been a victim of this person? Have I caught a killer in an act? And maybe that's why that person was staring at me. Because what if that person was alive? Maybe I could have done something to save that person's life. Or maybe I should have called the cops. And maybe they would have done something. But I would never know. And to be honest with you, I never told that story to this day. But still now. Very, very scary moment in my life. And ever since that day, I moved back to the city and said to myself, you know what? City life isn't that bad as I thought it was.